Why? God! God! God, me!
While we've been doing our silly little jokes and sketches, you've been sitting there gasping, "This is the greatest show I've seen in my life."
Well, folks, it seems with each passing day, more and more people are getting a little bit despondent with video games, and especially 007 First Light, a James Bond game. As a James Bond fan, I'm actually looking forward to, despite some of the caveats and the red flags I've seen thus far with this game. But look, I'm willing to give it a chance as long as it gives me solid gameplay and really good puzzle solving moments, and you get to be a Hitman Agent 47 even though you're playing Hitman 007, then I've got no problem with it. But it seems that the internet is going a blast with the ugly females in the video game, and I will say, folks, to a degree, I actually do agree with much of the sentiment that lies wherein this gameplay footage chose to reveal to us, and maybe a bit more pushing for the modern audience, because God knows every time we hear that phrase now, it only means the doom and gloom of something you were looking forward to.
Her voice may be almost as important to gamers as Lara's double pistols, curves and skimpy shorts.
Kung Fu Hot Dog
is a Kung Fu renegade cop. Now he must defeat the most evil Kung Fu master in the world.
For a modern gaming audience.
Get ready for a new world of unspeakable adventures.
I said, Mummy, I like the way the lady runs.
Get ready for a new world of unspeakable adventures never before shown in a motion picture. Get ready for
Kung Fu Hot Dog.
Right, no retreat, no surrender.
And one of the terms that they used while describing this was that they wanted to make the game approachable for modern audiences.
He said it, the modern audience, he said it.
I know, I get it. When we hear modern audiences, a lot of our ears perk up and we're like, oh God, here we go. But I don't think it actually is what it sounds like. Because sometimes studios say that and they mean that they made a character like Lawless in Suicide Squad season.
Ugh. Well, that's the modern audience trope right there. Come on. Suicide Squad, the video game. Did you play that? No, but that's an absolutely hideous
character that's supposed to be badass and crazy cool and justify you spending $10 on the new but instead you end up with a character that's really obnoxious. And
now, you know, folks, when I think about the term the modern audience, it gets thrown about in so many different places. Now, in 1995, when GoldenEye came out, I remember watching all the behind the scenes stuff and how the director, the cast and the crew and the writers were all saying that they had to make some modern tweaks to update James Bond, not going back to his frivolous ways, although quite clearly that wasn't true, because Pierce Brosnan's Bond couldn't wait to bed every single gorgeous looking woman that he could lay slithering Irish hands on, and good for him for doing that. Now, of course, when you think about the phrase the modern audience, why does that get twisted so much? Because people like IO Interactive, and let's not make this mistake, folks, all the video game companies are in on this. They're afraid if they release a game that is guaranteed to actually win over players and part of their hard-earned cash, only then for the SJWs like Sweet Baby Inks and Black Girl Gamers to come crawling out saying, where them black people at? And then of course they have to dial it back and make sure they put all these black folks in there, because if they don't do it, they don't want to offend anybody pending court cases where people are going to sue them for hurt fees. We know these folks don't play video games. The majority of them don't do that. They just want to get on a soapbox and moan and groan about underrepresentation in video games when the whole world of entertainment is very greatly represented. So again, the reason why we've got a black money penny, because lo and behold, we can't sit back and look in retrospect at Lois Maxwell when she flaunted it with Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and then of course much later on we had Timothy Dalton with Caroline Bliss, who can give me a kiss any day she wants to, and then Samantha Bond still giving Mr. Pierce Brosnan's Bond a run for his money in his entries. And then we came to Naomi Harris as Miss Black Moneypenny in Daniel Craig's rather divisive Bond series. And I guess in that instance, the Bond producers felt they had to keep up with the modern times just to appease people. In fact, people who were so non-existent that they just created the problem themselves, furthering a more bigger problem ahead when he didn't need to do that in the first place. Again, I like the fact that Luke does his best to defend the modern audience terminology, this well-known catchphrase that's been around since the dawn of time, but it keeps changing its face every now and then. But it's got a firm setting now. Every time you hear that phrase, you know what it's catering for and who they hope would it entice to watch or play this video game, right? But anyway, I thought that was very funny. Had to actually shed some first light on this situation. But let's look at Yorch Torch Games here, because this is a guy on X who has got a big fan base, but this is the same gentleman who called Expedition 33 a woke game because it had diverse characters in there, despite the fact it's set in a very alternate version of France. It wasn't a real life Paris, France back in the day with steampunk elements. Now look, you have had some historically unattractive female characters in the James Bond live action films. Rosa Klebb from Russia with Love, the same film we're talking about here, where she has that blade hidden in her boot and she tries to give Bond a dose of his own medicine but fails miserably in the process. He published this a few hours ago. What happened to James Bond girls? 1963, and this is Daniela Bianchi from Russia with Love. She's an Italian actress playing, I think she was playing a Russian character, but you didn't care because she looks so damn hot. And this is the Amber Turd lookalike for 2025. Yeah, and I did see this character, and again I thought, why have they made her this way? Maybe it's a deliberate choice. Again, not defending IO Interactive. I'm just looking at the point of view that I want to play this game. It looks really, really good. Now, it could be this Bond contact right here could turn out to be a villainess. We don't know, although from the gameplay footage reveal I recall, she seemed to come across as a nice person towards Bond, but that's the whole point about the Bond universe. It's all about deception. Okay, so that kind of makes a bit of sense, but I do get where people are coming from regarding this, that again, why have they uglified so many of the women in this video game? Because again, when you think of 007, you think about the beautiful, glamorous Bond girls, right? Again, it's still a crime to me that Elizabeth Hurley was never asked to be in the Pierce Brosnan films as a Bond girl. She would have been great, but because she was in Austin Powers in 1997, which I think was great from Mike Myers to include her as an honorary Bond girl, I thought, you know what? We got a really good rendition of her as Miss Kensington.
My God, Vanessa's got a fabulous body. I bet she shags like a minx.
The uglification, folks, of women in video games. What do we have to look forward to? Nothing. And of course, right here just below me, but you can't see her, so I'm just going to bring her out for your viewing displeasure. But that god-awful character from Uncharted 4, which is why I hardly ever replay that game again. So again, what else have people been saying about this? Oh, yikes. Yeah, big fat bastard from Austin Powers 3, I think it was. Yep, they're all abominable now. DEI slop. I'm non-binary, as in not buying the thing at all. But again, you know, it's not going to destroy the Bond game as such. I doubt it very much. I mean, people have a right to their opinion regarding what they feel about it already in terms of is it going to be bad. Also, I've actually heard as well, I don't even know if this is true because I couldn't find any information about it, but apparently First Light is going to be a one and done Bond game. I don't think so, because the impression I got was it's an origin Bond story. It's called First Light. People will expect it to be a series of games, not necessarily a trilogy. I would like to think it might go up to number 4 in the game, then there'd be a one and done deal. But again, as people have said, that IO Interactive were given a license to do what they wanted with the character within limits. Ah, Mr. Bond, I've been expecting you. Talk to the lovely receptionist at the... Oh, don't talk to her. Never mind. Go somewhere else, I suppose. I do like this Bond theme. They've remixed it ever so beautifully. So I guess MGM have told them, you can't do this, you can't do that. So maybe that's the course they're going through. And they've got the branding from Amiga, from Aston Martin. That cost a lot of money. Or maybe it won't. Maybe they've made a deal where they get a reduction in what they in terms of the financial outcome, and there might be some recompense if the game does well. I hope the game does well, because people want to play a very good video game. I think there might be the more red flag alerts coming out sometime in the future, but will that deter people from buying and playing the game? Because the gameplay looks fantastic. Again, one of the concerns I had was, why doesn't Bond take any damage? But according to Luke Stevens, that was a question fielded to Hakan, the CEO of IO Interactive, about that from the other journalists at that event, that closed event for 007 First Light. And apparently, if you do play the Hitman games, which I've played some of on and off, is that the enemies do react in a specific way to your actions. So if you see right here, Bond is hiding from the enemies, but they're not really opening fire too much on him. Why is that? But apparently they do react differently to your actions throughout the game. So again, this is like a very professionally presented presentation for the world to see. So, you know, it's getting people like IGN and Eurogamer and Games Radar ever so excited, right? So this is going to be the first time they play a proper Bond game that's got the very heavy DNA influence of Hitman, Agent 47 in this. So I get it. I get why people are getting enthused about it all. So yeah, and I liked it. This kind of blew me away. It was actually really, really cool to watch this. But who knows, folks? Again, one thing I like to see, like when Bond blows up a car, he could just partially blow it up like so. And something I wanted to see is that when he fights the villain in a few seconds after this, that maybe the car would blow up again and send the two protagonists or the two guys flying on the other side. That would have been really good, but I don't know if that's something they've accounted for, if it's going to cost too much time or money or coding to put that element in there. But I can't see this being a one and done game. Like I said, I couldn't see anything online that suggested that it would be. Maybe it's a rumor at the moment. I think it won't be. But it all depends how well this game sells when it's released on the 27th of March 2026. But what are your thoughts? What are your feelings, folks? How are they going to continue to uglify females in video games? Yeah, they will. They definitely will. There's just no getting away from it. They want to definitely dispense with beautiful women in video games. They can't. Then you're not allowed to have that anymore. You can't. You just cannot. It's a cardinal sin. That's the phrase I was thinking of. But anyway, folks, if you ended up enjoying my little rant today, my concerns about 007 First Light, leave a comment below. Smash that subscribe button. And if I were you, pilgrims, and if you were me, you should definitely return for the next video. Shaken, not stirred.
Horrible woman.
Yes, she's had her kicks.
じゃない